Guys, there is a breaking news from the Super Eagles camp in Turkey. And to be honest with you, it's not actually a good news. Yes, it's not actually the kind of news every Super Eagles of Nigeria fan will actually love to hear. Yes, according to the report coming from Turkey right now, Super Eagles and Fulham defender Kevin Bassey, will no longer join up with the rest of the Super Eagles squad in camp ahead of the friendly game against Iran and Jordan. Yes, the Super Eagles of Nigeria will be locking horns against Iran national team this Friday, and 4 days later, they will be playing against Jordan. But as it stands, Wuhan and Super Eagles defender Kevin Bassey will not be available for any of these matches as a result of an injury. And this is actually, unfortunate. It is actually unfortunate. I know some of you will argue that these games against Iran and Jordan are not a competitive game. So if Kevin Bassey is not fit, then there is no problem. But I want to remind you that there are some newly invited players into the Super Eagles squad. And I believe that the presence of some senior players in the Super Eagles will make them feel welcome, and feel relaxed and help them blend perfectly with the old team, with the old players. But now Victor Osimhen was not invited, he's not available. And now Kevin Bassey, another senior player in the team, is not available as a result of injury. So how do you expect some of the newly invited players to actually, feel welcome and at least understand one or two things in camp? Although team captain Wilfred Ndidi has just landed in the camp right now, I think he's the last player, expected to arrive, and he is already in camp, and his arrival has taken the total number of players in camp to 22. Yes, Kevin Bassey was the next to arrive, but unfortunately, he will no longer be joining up with the rest of the squad, which we all understand. And to those of you who will argue that whether or not Kevin Bassey is available, these games are not important, these games are just friendly, I don't need to remind you that few days ago, Victor Osimhen told each and every one of us a story about how he was welcomed into the Super Eagles squad, for the first time by Mikel Obi. He said that during his first call-up, he said during their first training, he said that Mikel Obi told him in the training that after the game, that he should follow him to his hotel room. And John Obi Mikel actually, welcomed him properly and even gave him some money. That is how to make a newly invited player, feel better and feel welcome. Yes, feel special when they are around you. They are around the old players. I mean, now some of the old players like Victor Osimhen and Kevin Bassey are not available. So who are those players that you think will make the camp lively for the newly invited Super Eagles players? That is the role of the senior players in the team. The ability, to ensure that the new players blend well with the old one is a responsibility of the old players in the team. Now, due to one reason or the other, Victor Osimhen will not be going for the friendly game. And now, Kevin Bassey have been ruled out. I think the senior men in this camp currently is just Wilfred Ndidi and Moses Simon and Alex Iwobi. The onus is on these three players now, to ensure that the newly invited players, feel welcome and try as much as possible for them to blend properly with the old player. So, ladies and gentlemen, just like I said earlier, it's actually a big blow for the Super Eagles of Nigeria ahead of the friendly game against Iran and Jordan. In as much as these games are not important, it would have been better if Kevin Bassey is fit and available, if not for the game itself, then for the fact that he will play a major role in ensuring that the newly invited player will feel welcome, feel at home, and try as much as possible to make them, blend well with the old players. Please, do you actually think that Kevin Bassey not present in the camp have a negative impact in the squad, or you think that it's a normal since the game is not an important one? Is okay. Please, whatever your opinion may be on this, I'd like to see it in the comment section. Do well to like, comment, and do not forget to turn on notification to enable you see my next post. Thank you for watching this video. See you in my next video. Bye.